You, what going on? What going on? What going on? Welcome to another live streamed episode of the Same Difference podcast. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Another one? Yes, back to back. I just had a live episode last night. Having another one this night, and then Sunday we got a different day. We're gonna keep hitting you because we gotta stay in your face to let you know that we still here. We have a great episode. We have a live panel of wonderful, amazing powerhouse women that we're going to talk about the state of the territory. Which territory? The U.S. Virgin Islands, my heart, my home, and some of yours also. We're going to talk about it because the last state of the territory was not by us. It was by your beautiful governor, Albert Brand, and there was some stuff in there. We ain't here to talk about that, but we're here to address it as we see it. You know what I'm saying? Straight from the mouths of people that are there. I am the only one living stateside. They are actually there on the ground zero. What's going on, Marcus? Hello. What's up? Welcome to another episode. I ain't gonna hold you too long. I just want to, before we get started, I want to go over some census information. According to census.gov, they released the 2020 census information for the U.S. Virgin Islands. They released it July 20, 2023. According to the demographics characteristics in 2020, the USVI had a population of approximately 87,146 people, 48.6% of which male, 51.4% female, 21.3% of the population was age 65 or over. Only 1.8% was age 85 or over. Children ages 0 to 17 accounted for 19% of the population. The median age then was about 46. Think about that. Over 2 in 5 households consisted of one person living alone. The majority, over 50% of the family households were married couple families. Just want to touch on a couple interesting things that you should know before we move on. Nearly one quarter, 22.8% of the total 84,766 people in households for whom poverty status is determined had income below the poverty level. 18% of people received benefits from the SNAP program. The median household income decreased from $44,499 in 2019 to $40,408. Currently, this population is distributed among 3 islands: St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. Territory's population has decreased by over 18% since 2010, and it continues to slowly decline. Why? We might talk about it a little bit tonight. We don't go into all of this stuff. What going on? We don't talk about all of it, but you know what we gotta do first? We gotta show you this beautiful bean footage, and then we'll be right back with you. 1 second. All right, here we go. There they go. How we doing, ladies? Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, welcome to the State of the Territory Address. If you're looking at us, please share the live and let people know so they can join the conversation in the comments, because we got comment section going live. What going on, Darren? I'll go ahead and share the live, man.
We're saying.
Who you say? Whoever want to go first, can I go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, please?
I'm Saida Carter, 32-year veteran educator, now more than half of the time in St. Croix, the other half in Oakland, California, and Brooklyn, New York, and just love the VI youth them, want them thrive, not just survive, and ready to do the thing.
All right. Who going next?
I can go. My name is Ionia. I am a halftime Virgin Islander, halftime from Oklahoma. Dad was born in St. Kitts, raised here since he was 3. I grew up here for some time and spent half my year here, half my year back home in Oklahoma. So I just recently moved back about 3 years ago. Back home, I like to say, and so. My background is in operations and administration, but I'm also a very big researcher and intaker of information, and definitely find it very important to stay up on the current happenings and what's going on. So I'm really excited about the conversation tonight.
Awesome. Well, we only got one
Last
question.
but not least,
Last but not least, let's go.
this is Lorelei Monsanto. I am 100% resident of the U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm a VI child. My family goes back several decades in the Virgin Islands. I love my home. We have lots of issues, and I hope that we have a great discussion this evening.
All right. I plan to. I'm going to try my best. I got a little experience. We're going to see how I can do this. So let me introduce myself. My name is Ja. That's not my full name, but my name is Ja. I'm the host of the Same Difference podcast and also a radio show, A Different Day with Ja and Nisi, showcases on Sundays on 101.3 Raw FM. I am a born and raised Virgin Islander. I'm actually first generation. My parents are from St. Kitts, but it's still where my heart is no matter where I am. The only reason I left the Virgin Islands was because I needed college money, so I joined the military. Have a podcast since 2022, and I've been doing this for quite some time. I've done 3 podcast events, including a intergenerational town hall. I think that one reason why I like doing these is because there's what the politicians say the state of the territory is, and there's what the people say. And lately, I've been noticing it seems like worlds apart. So that's why I wanted to get everybody together so we could actually hear it from you. We're going to have some questions, but it's really going to be a conversation. And then we got the live comments we're going to be putting up on screen and addressing also. So we're going to keep it straight like that. First, let's jump right into it. What does it mean to be a Virgin Islander to you?
I'll start.
That's somebody.
I will start. Okay, this is Laura.
Okay.
This is Lorelei. I will start.
All right.
A Virgin Islander is a person who is strong, has intuition, has heart, has love, that cares for the entire Virgin Islands, no matter what island you live on, and want our community to grow and to heal. Thank you.
I like that. What does it mean to be a Virgin Islander? Who's up next?
I would say, to me, it means having just a connection to the Virgin Islands. It doesn't matter if you live here still or if you were born here or raised here, but having a connection to the island and really intentionally utilizing your resources to pour back into our land, our people, and also an appreciation of the culture coming in and, coming alongside us, whether you're from here or not, like just having a true appreciation for what it is we have and what we do and who we are.
There's a Bob Marley song that says, "Some are leaves, some are branches, but I are the root." So for me, I came to the Virgin Islands as a 2-year-old. I'll be 55. And let me tell you, this is my home, right? You basically feel connected and rooted in this place, and you want to see it thrive. I mean, you can be anywhere else in the diaspora, but for me, this is where you've landed or you've been raised, born here, whatever the case may be, but you are here for the betterment of the place.
Ramon says to be Caribbean is a badge of honor. We're appreciative of the little stuff and we can make the most out of nothing. I'll choose to be Caribbean in every lifetime if I had a choice. Oof.
I just said that after
Mufasa.
After this year's festival, I said that I was like, I just would choose to be Caribbean at every lifetime, nothing else.
To be a Virgin Islander is to endure, survive, appreciate, overcome the cultural and spiritual. Now, with all those answers, beautiful answers, by the way, I loved it. Beautiful answers for real. I couldn't even think of none better than that. I'm gonna so I ain't gonna even try. But coming out as a Virgin Islander, we have to, well, I feel we should also acknowledge our African roots for a lot of us, no matter where we're coming from, you know, across the diaspora, as Saida mentioned. How do we keep in touch with those roots? Because over time, it seems like culturally, we're losing our connection. And by extension, we're losing our connection to being Virgin Islanders. So how do we maintain that going forward, do you think?
For me, everybody wants to follow like America, right? I lived there many years, taught there, was educated there for higher ed, but I feel like we have to connect to our African ancestry because that's the stuff that gave us that rooting, that same rooting that I was talking about. And now is a time of real like spiritual warfare and the ability to connect ancestrally and go in and you know, with loving community, creating loving community. That's something that we got, you know, for generations. And I think that's attributed to our connection to throughout the diaspora.
Because it seemed like sometimes our people want to be everything but African. You know what I mean? So what do you ladies think about that?
Well, I mean, look at the state of our really our world, but specifically our country as a whole. It's like our culture is literally they're attempting to literally delete our culture, wash it away, you know, change history, change what it means to be Black. So it's almost like, I mean, for years, I mean, for decades, we've been told we're not good enough or we're less than because of the color of our skin. So for generations, we've been battling with trying to stay connected to something that the world is telling us we should be disconnected from. We need to assimilate into white culture and all this. So it's like, we're in a battle. We've been in the same battle since the 1817. I mean, you could go all the way back. So it's like, how can you connect to something that you're being programmed to think is not good or is less than? How do you do that? You have to make it a point and be intentional. Go and, you know, really get in touch, like Saida said, like really getting in touch with our African roots. Being intentional about that is how we can do that.
Okay, I'm going to start the controversy with my answer. The people of the Virgin Islands had to petition to have history taught in the school system. They went to court. A law was passed that is not being respected. So if we are afraid to teach our own history, we cannot blame other people for that. We are an unincorporated territory of the United States, Virgin Islands, and we have failed in our capacity to do what is right for the children and the people of this territory.
Ja, you don't have that air horn sound.
Let me see what I got.
That's it right there.
That's it, yeah.
Hold on, church out.
That's that, yeah.
I mean, we're a colony. We don't want to discuss the fact that we're a colony. We have Black and brown children. We don't want to teach them their history. Last week, I was talking about Arturo Alfonso Schomburg to a bunch of 12th and 11th graders. They had never heard of this man. And half of them sitting in the room are Puerto Rican and Crucian or Puerto Rican. And
Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I said, come on, this is a big man. How come nobody teach you about this man all your life? I said, when I lived in New York and taught for 15 years, I could go to a library that takes up a city block that is named after someone from your soil, from your ancestry, and you never heard about him. There's a problem. We have a problem. Knowing who you are makes you strong, and it is in the best interest of both colonizers and disingenuous leaders for you to not be strong. Then you don't question.
You were gonna say something, Mayunya?
Is VI history? VI history is a specific course taught in school, right?
It's supposed to be taught. It hasn't been taught in decades.
Wow. I did not know that.
So we have to have a conversation in reference to ownership and how we as a people, a Black people in the Virgin Islands, run by our own, are running ourselves into the ground. So, we have to take responsibility for our failures and for our successes. But in regards to children and the youth, and you all are moving around the diaspora. You're moving from St. Croix or whatever islands, and you're living in Atlanta or in New York or wherever you are. And we have a serious brain drain, but we are creating this on ourselves. This constant barragement of why aren't we trying to help ourselves? We are a strong people. We come from a strong lineage. Why are we failing to educate our youth? I don't know if you all read the opinion of Mark Wenner this morning on Facebook, but he also gave a breakdown in reference to the children and the kids count. And we are failing our children to expose them. We companies that come into the territory, they get EDC benefits, and I don't see any mentorship. If there is mentorship, please somebody stand up and tell me where it is and how the kids can become better involved in those things. I don't see any School of the Arts. I don't see any mechanical, any plumbing. I don't see things that used to be. And these things that used to be, we had less resources. We have more resources now, and I can't tell you where they're going.
So
or maybe you could.
Where did we go wrong then? Or what are we doing wrong? Because you mentioned the children and the brain drain. How do we reach them on a level that they can connect with?
There has to be investment back into our home, our island. Like, I think about when the whole melee came on Facebook about telling people to come back, and people are like, come back to what? I mean, just like Lorelai said, like, there's the schooling, the education, there's no opportunities, there's no, finances. Look at our electrical grid. Like, it's what are we bringing people back to? And our own government is stealing the money from its own people, taking the money out of our own. It's like us, and that's why when Lorelai gave her answer, I was like, that's it, because you're right. It's us against us. It's us doing this to us. So how do we stop the brain drain? How do we get people back? We got to have something for them to come back to. What am I coming back to? $1,000 a month WAPA bill, cereal that's $12 a box, a school system that's literally physically falling apart on top of our children. What am I coming back to? So
That's real. What's one change? Let's talk solutions. What's one change you would make to retain more young talent?
Shall I step up again?
Whoever want, go take it.
Okay. I would request that the young people ages 18 to 40 actually register to vote, learn how to vote, participate in the vote. Now, I'm not telling you how to join parties, because parties seem to be the problem. We have parties that are not in compliance, and that's another story. So the young people need to participate and understand why their vote is crucial, how the vote is going to affect them. You have to remember, between that age group, they are the people who are going to be taking care of us in the future. And I don't want to be out in the cold. I want somebody to take care of me. So I have to make a way for them.
Honestly, we also have to document our joy as much as our pain, right?
Ooh.
I'm on this whole new joy kick. That's why I think it might be advantageous for me to leave social media. I need some joy, Dread. Like I definitely need joy, and I find that I'm barking at my students. I need to do this. I need to do that. Get yourself together. But I also need to, praise them and talk about the joy. People come here from all over the world and they're like, what? You guys live here? How lucky are you? So for visitors, this is a paradise. One of my students wrote so eloquently last week, to come here as a visitor, yeah, this is what's up. But to live here day and day, in our walk, it's very hard. You have to be a very headstrong, determined person to stay here on the regular.
Now I'm gonna be real. So when I was 17, I hopped on the first thing smoking when I joined the military, right? To get out of here. And I remember being asked, why would you leave paradise? In my mind, I was like, paradise? Like even the place called paradise is not paradise. Like you only go to paradise. So like it looks good when you visit it, but you come with money from somewhere else to spend it there. You chill, you relax on the beach and all of that. But me living there, it wasn't that for me. And this was decades ago. So like, it may sound good, but what happened where we are now, it didn't just jump forward. You know what I'm saying? It was a slow decline. And it seemed like people don't realize, hey, at some point, we're going to hit the bottom.
I think we have hit the bottom. It's at some point. I believe we are there, sir. We are a corrupt group of islands. The Virgin Islands is filled with corruption. Our name is all over the Epstein files. We have people who are running for political office who were participants in this dilemma, and they want to hold the highest office in the land. I am sorry. They do not represent me. I want to make that publicly known, because our government is a reflection of its people. And all of us need to stop playing coy and address the problem head on. We need to rebuild ourselves, clean up. We all make mistakes, but you can't be the hold the highest office in the land. I forgive you, but at a certain point, but you can't hold the highest office.
Do y'all agree that we're at the bottom?
We're definitely at a place, where the level of me-ism and self-aggrandizement.
No, that's a fact.
Like, I want to do for me and mine, but me caring about man and man round the corner, down the street. But I want to hook my people up, my ilk, my crew. We are at that point for sure. I mean, I don't know how much further we can go. I'm on a Bob Marley kick because tomorrow is his birthday, but graduating thieves and murderers, right? How murderous we are as a community. We're depressed. We're hurt. We have to start loving each other again in a most profound way. You couldn't tell me nothing when I would go visit my stateside cousins. I'm from the Virgin Islands. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I developed a pride. I guess who raised me helped me develop that pride. And being in this territory as long as I have, we need that pride back. Children are like, what is this place? I can't wait to leave. Even more in droves, but then some of them are stuck. They're not prepared to leave and do anything except maybe get eaten up by the white man's military. No offense.
I had said a few days ago that lawlessness is systemic. And when you think about it, when there's no money, when there's no resources, when there's no governance, when there's no help, when there's no assistance, people just like Saida said, like people are depressed, and people are depressed, they're desperate, They're just and they're just trying to survive, and not to excuse it, but it's like, like she said, it's man looking out for man, and I'm stealing money from this person just to put it in the pockets of my people, but I'm not putting it back into the community and all this kind of stuff. It's just like everybody's just holding on and just desperate, and so they're just doing whatever at this point to literally to survive.
Let's get into that. Let's get into the lawlessness is systemic. Let me read some of the comments first, though. This oh man, it's sad. Home is not the same. We are near or at the bottom. It's sad for me to know St. Croix has no hospital. The fact we have one in them, but we don't have one. It's a shame. We have hit the last 2 feet of the system water, close to the sludge. The village mentality, Miss Saida, we have to get back to that. We're sinking. I believe we have hit rock bottom. We have such an unprofessional governor, awful medical conditions alongside with the education system being incredibly flawed. My generation and newer are leaving because we do not see the value the Virgin Islands should bring us. Ooh. Accountability is at an all-time low. Hear me out. We select 2 to 3 people to hold seats. If they do well, we vote accordingly next election and add another to the initial 3. If they don't do well, we select another 3. It's sickening. Need a governor that cares for the people. We gotta understand that. Like, I ain't gonna even say nobody. Yes, the governor is a piece in the puzzle, right? But we have to understand that personal accountability, and like someone else said, and like Saida was mentioning, the village. We have to take responsibility for what we're doing or not doing. I've told people before, and they'll get vexed with me. We gotta do it for ourselves. It's clear that the ones that are in governance, they won't. So at what point do you say, I gonna start at least? No matter what, that tax money gonna come out your check. But the fact that you could at least make sure that your child gets to school and you partake in this and you help maybe do a little carpool to get children to school, and instead of talking about the buses, do something else. At what point do we say we are the village? But yeah, we're gonna get into your comment. Lawlessness is systemic, right? So we all know, we've all heard about the DHS arrest that happened. They had this whole perp walk, highly edited cut video from VIPD, and it was all over the place, where they picked up 11 people from DHS that based on Medicaid fraud and misuse of computers and all this other stuff. What I thought was weird, when these high-ranking officials that cost the Virgin Islands millions of dollars, there was no perp walk. There was no video, no VIPD, big arrest, no, oh, we got them. They were walking cool and calmly to the courtroom, but this year gets a whole big display. And when I said online that this type of thing is inevitable, if you fix the economy first, then these type of crimes will go down. When you see people are stealing from the grocery store, that suggests something. When they're stealing necessities, when they steal from an elderly person over 100K and they go and buy transportation with it, they spend majority of the money to buy a car. And we ain't talking a $100,000 car. It's an Acura. That suggests something. So what do y'all have to say about that?
Let's be clear. These people from DHS are being accused of committing Medicaid and food stamp fraud. So in the sense, they were giving out, or what it seems is they're being accused of giving benefits to people who maybe didn't meet all the qualifications or etc. Right? There's no really like monetary gain here. Like if I have food stamps, I mean, I'm going to the grocery store to use my food stamps. I'm not going to the ATM to swipe my card and take off the money for my food stamp card. So then you have these high elected officials, these commissioners and all kind of things that have literally stolen money. Like they've gotten money in hand, taking this money, going on trips and buying houses and flying here and there and everywhere in big car and all kind of thing. And it's like, like you said, no perp walk, no big VI consortium article and all this kind of stuff. But these other people who, you know, I'm not saying it was right what they were doing, but I don't know if people are realizing the difference in these two different things here. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why when you talk about, like you said, Ja, like if we fix the economy, something like this does not have to happen. If people get paid more, then they can maybe afford to buy groceries. Maybe we can't change the price of groceries, but we can pay people more so they can afford them. So that's just my thought on that the contrast between those two situations.
I mean, you get Albert Vex because he didn't get a raise, but then they also debating, and they're debating at the legislature, should we give the regular people a raise from $10.50 to $12? And then you get another senator saying, no, that's too much. I get businesses, I can't pay them on $12. But this man wanted to be one of the highest paid governors in the nation.
More than Puerto Rico that has millions of people. But the DHS thing was particularly perplexing for me because I feel like it's a distraction. As she was saying, it got bigger fish. Thief never want to see thief with long bag, right? But them their bag well long. And like she said, these people were simply, you know, helping a friend because people can't make it. People can't make it. I don't agree or condone, but that whole marching them out there, that's show pony nonsense to distract us and keep our attention on the little person who's struggling to make ends meet and not people who live in high on the hog.
I agree with Said. I think it was a serious distraction because this is federal monies we're talking about. Why was VIPD there and not the feds making their arrest? You know, we have to stop playing this cat and mouse game and people playing us for being idiots. It is very strange to me because I watched that video over and over and over again. I said, first of all, these ladies are not bothered by being arrested. I don't see anybody looking like they're going to cry or, you know, they were like, okay, we going willingly. And, you know, I was like, I found that very interesting. Their mug shots were also interesting. And like I said, my biggest concern was this should have been a federal arrest and not a local because this is a federal program.
And one of the ladies was recently arrested a couple months ago for fraud. And then she back in a government job getting arrested again for fraud. I ain't doing enough fraud. I'm working too hard. I need to do some fraud.
No, you don't.
Stay on the good side, Jess.
Listen to me. She got arrested for fraud. Went and worked at the government system again. And got arrested months later for fraud.
Well, who does she know and who is she connected to?
Thank you.
So that was a theory that was tossed around. Like, this seems a little too, it just seems a little too, I mean, it was a big thing too when the first situation happened. It was a big thing. I mean, I was able to go back and find the article with a simple Google search. Like this, it was a big thing. So and then you go and you were able to get hired by the government. But
to pay back the money that she stole.
Am I paying taxes?
So again, we're a community that is hurting, and we need people who are going to love and care and nurture the Virgin Islands. Because again, I feel that we are a critical juncture and we have to stand up. Everybody's not going to like you. They're not going to like your position. But we need to have dialogue like what we're having now. Mental slavery is a real thing. And we have to have these people understand, our community, that they have a right to have a voice. Like I said, everybody doesn't have to agree with your voice, but use your voice, use your power.
What do you say to people like me who are trying to use our voices, right? and I feel like we get shouted down the most though. Like when I said that what happened here is inevitable and you can't arrest it away, you would think I said they did right to do the crimes, because that's the direction that. How did you hear that? When I
A lot
say
of the comments sided with the individuals who did it. A lot of those comments it was alarming to me. I was like, okay, what's going on here? That means our community is seriously broken. And people have to understand. I know it's hard for people that want to speak up because they say, oh, I have a government job and I don't want to lose my job. I don't want that excuse anymore. We should have freedom of speech, freedom of expression. If you don't want to say it with your mouth, pick up a piece of art and draw what you have to say. And just pour it on the street corner. Pour it on the street. People will see it and they won't even know it's from you. But there are different ways to use your voice to make things known that you are hurting, and this has to stop. We're like in a very abusive relationship with our own government. I'm sorry, I went on a tangent. Go ahead.
No, you good.
That's 100% real. No tangent noticed by me
at all.
What do you think? What do you guys think about using your voices? We were talking backstage, and even you, Saida, you don't even know if it's like worth being online and stuff. Like, what do you say to people who are talking?
I also use your, like, my whole platform, my whole like extracurricular work that I do is about that. I do something called Forum Theater, and I talk about issues of oppression and how the pendulum swings. We are all oppressed and oppressive simultaneously. So we have to look at that pendulum and see, where we are. Like, are we mistreating our children, yelling at them, and then out here doing truths and rights? Or, sometimes I'm like screaming at my kids and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm a social justice warrior. Let me leave them alone. But at the end of the day, like, we are all oppressed, whether it be gender, race, economics, and we are all also simultaneously oppressive. And we need these kibitz, these conversations to like let people realize and see that we have more in common. Like, me not at Albert. I don't see Albert. I don't hail Albert. Albert is a human being. Would I like to sit with him and tell him some missteps and like, do you want to leave a legacy? Do you not want to leave a legacy? Like, where are you? I grew up knowing this man my whole life. I'm similar in age to him. And his ex-wife was a friend. And it's like we're too small. It's too small of a place for us to be treating one another like this. And to miss the bigger picture and to be so stuck on what we need and what we want and taking a job and not being a servant leader. Where are our servant leaders?
That's a good question, because too many get into that position, and it's already a position of power anywhere, but it's seriously a position of power when you see your constituents damn near daily if you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got senators with businesses in the community and some that actually be at the business. Mm-hmm. And you could literally press your senator while you're walking down the street.
Yeah.
I don't say, what are you man doing, my son? I some joke.
I will say, moving back, it was interesting for me because in Oklahoma, obviously it's a lot larger population. I don't see my governor. I don't want to anyway, but I never saw my governor, at Asado or at this place or walking down the street in the parade. So coming back here and I'm like at Asado and here's the governor and this senator and this senator. I'm like, oh, y'all are right here. Like, okay, let's have some conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, okay, why is this happening? I need to understand what's your stance on this. What are you going to do about this? That's what I do. I mean, and I didn't grow up with these people. They know my family and they know my father and his family, but you know, one of my dad's childhood best friends is positive. And so every time, you know, I know he's not in the senator right now anymore, but it's like anytime I see him, I'm like, okay, so what's going on with this? What's the next, like, to me, that's using your voice, having the conversations, because we do have access, unlike people in other places, other states, territories. Puerto Rico, I'm sure, is a much larger place, so they don't probably get as much access as we do to our lawmakers. So that's how I use my voice.
You know what's crazy about the access thing? It's funny because they're within your reach, but at the same time, when was the last town hall?
Mm-hmm.
The last town hall I remember with Albert was the infamous one where he told that woman that she was untouched.
Yes.
When she asked a valid question.
You better leave Karen alone, Dre. Karen is not the one.
But that was the last time.
I will never forget that.
That was the last town hall I remember.
That's
so how do
why.
you have a community where you could walk side by side by your senator and governor, but you also don't talk to your constituents?
You talk down to your constituents. That's what he did.
Yes.
And it's sad. I don't feel like it has to be this way. I feel that there can be some tweaks and some changes. A person said, he'll never get a halo from me. I love that. But, you know, one time I saw him and he said, oh, Saida, me see you in a while. And I said, you ain't want to see me, Dread. But, like, because you really don't want to have these substantive conversations about the change that needs to be made, or that you have chosen. I didn't choose a career to make those changes. I can contribute by making a more educated populace, but you chose a career that says you wanted to, you know, what's the slogan they had? I was going to say, make America great again.
Please.
Whip, wop. Be the change.
Yes, but they were very intentional about how great they were going to do. They were the new young intelligentsia. And what happened?
We voted for them for a second term. That's what happened. We made the mistake. The first term demonstrated nothing, and there should have not been a second.
Put him back in. We change course now, they say.
There you go.
That's what it was.
Now they're trying to rewrote. Damn.
What they changed to start having 5 course for themselves.
Mm-hmm. I was really alarmed when I heard the numbers on those registered to vote here and those who actually vote. That was alarming to me.
Let's get into it, because I know, Lorelei, this is a topic that you're very into and want to talk about. So let's get into the voting numbers from the last election. Let me find it here. All right. 31,171 registered to vote. Only 15,952 votes cast, representing 51.18%. St. Croix, which usually leads the way, 14,822 registered. St. Croix, only 8,480 actually voted, which is 51.21%. St. Thomas and St. John, 16,349 registered, 7,472 voted, 45.7%. Voting. Let's get into it. Do you vote?
100%. My ancestors fought for this.
Okay.
I just recently registered to vote here. I was a registered voter in the States, and purposely because of the elections coming up here and going back to that using our voice, I went ahead and registered to vote here so that way I'd be able to vote in the upcoming elections.
But then when I look at the roster, I think, oh.
I know, I'm like, what are the options?
It's going to be a hard search to think about, who do I choose?
That's the thing. I asked about that, right? For me personally, I don't think it makes sense to vote unless you vote with a purpose. And to make a difference, you actually need a community on the same target when you vote, which we don't have. Also, I think, which this another thing that I thought it was like common sense, but apparently Facebook don't feel so. I think that when you vote, right, you need to have a reason to get up and vote. I don't believe that just saying, hey, vote, it's your civic duty, is going to work anymore. Nobody ain't trying to hear that. We don't rock the vote,
vote to save your life.
We need something else.
Vote to save your life.
Literally.
It's that simple. Literally. If you do not vote, that's why we're being railroaded. That's why we're being gaslighted. You have to vote to save your life. If there's a person, if there's a person you feel in your community who can represent you, you need to ask that person if they're willing to get involved. If they're not, ask them if there was a write-in campaign and the people showed that they really wanted them, would they accept the position? Voting does not necessarily mean that you always have to pick from the slate that's there. You can write in candidates, people who have not actually gone through that process, but you can write them in and support those people. The problem is we have to understand also, stop voting for your family and friends.
Ooh.
Vote for capacity.
That's it.
That's the voting for fish fry. That's the
mic
one.
drop. Lorelai did it. Mic drop.
Right there.
Go home.
That's it right there. No, here. Okay, so here's the question, right? When I say you need a purpose, you need a purpose to vote. I'm talking about I don't believe that the younger people want to hear this your civic duty, fight to because democracy depends on it, because that was what the Democrats were running on for the last 2 elections, right? And it still didn't work. Why do you think people are cool with, especially in the Virgin Islands, they vote for family, they vote for fish fry, they vote for best jam, but how do we get people to vote based on, hey, I am going to do this, and this? Because it doesn't seem like that's what they're voting on.
I don't.
But even when they, go for it.
Can I give you a caveat?
Go ahead.
Okay, you talked about the Democrats, so I'm going to be specifically about the Democrats in the Virgin Islands. They were speaking the other day in the Senate about voting parties, who was a Democrat and who was not a Democrat. So we learned at that hearing that 50 or less are actual Democrats, and the other 18,000 people is pretend Democrats. If you don't pay your dues, you're not a Democrat in the territory. So when you go and then you research the Democratic Party of the U.S. Virgin Islands, to be specific, you find that they have not been in compliance for the last 63 years. Okay, so who is running who? We have 50 people who call themselves the Democrat, whatever they are, because they're not who they say they are. They're phantom, who is actually running the territory. So I want people to wake up to that.
The more I look at it, like somebody told me that the Virgin Islands and the Caribbean as a whole, they live with conservative values, but they vote Democrat. And I could not debate it, because nobody could tell me Albert is a Democrat. Not in his stances, not in what he believes in. And a lot of those senators, like the one who said, why should we raise the minimum wage to $12, or please, I can't pay my employees? You can't tell me that man's a Democrat for real, not in his practice. So I agree with Lorelai, man. It's true. So what are we doing?
What are we doing? We start now. We start holding people accountable. We start asking the tough questions that nobody wants to really address because they're afraid they're going to be ostracized. We have to I live this nightmare all the time. I'm always the person out there saying, no, I can't go with that. We gotta tweak that. I can't. I'm trying to be the voice of reason, because guess what? I'm getting older. My children are in Atlanta, where you are, and I would love for them to come home as well. But I agree, there is nothing here to captivate them and to make sure when young adults come back home, they want to have housing of their own. They don't want to live with their parents. They want to be able to have a decent job that pays them a wage. There's so many things that you can captivate in the States that you can't capture here. You can't go into a bank here and get a mortgage. Furthermore, you can't even afford the house insurance that comes with a mortgage. So, we need people who are going to deal with these core issues. And I'm calling them core because these are realistic things that we must deal with. Thank you.
Nice. Now, it seems like people feel like we can't do anything after we get them in, and that's not necessarily true either. Like, they could just get in. Once they get in, they ain't gotta do nothing, and we just gotta live with it for 2 to 4 years. So, like Ciano says, we vote, but the people we have voted for in the past turn around and don't do nothing. They run a great campaign and then don't do nothing when they do get in, which is true. But like, if you don't like your governor or your senators, you could get them out during the term.
People real afraid in the VI to me.
They are.
Mean, a lot of people afraid, like, I don't know. I just feel like people have been conditioned to shut up. They are fearful. The government is one of the biggest employers. I'm a government worker. Who knows if I get a pink slip tomorrow messing with job. But at the end of the day, like, people are very afraid, and then being afraid and then not being particularly informed. And then we talked about anti-Blackness, not loving yourself, being depressed, having to like barely make it, just surviving, not thriving. All of these things are, they make a brew of systemic issues that we have to stop and address, or the territory will continue to be taken over.
Yeah.
It's voting.
If we think we can't afford it now.
Imagine. You know what I said to that? We gonna go into tourism. That's one of my favorite topics. Cause the VI and the Caribbean, they love their tourists. They love their tourists. However, it doesn't seem to be helping, because even when the tourism is increasing, it doesn't help the circumstances for locals. But I digress. Voting. Is voting impactful?
Don't digress. Let's go back to your topic. Sorry, I gotta go back there. We have to teach our young people to be waitresses and waiters. Those tips are phenomenal, people.
Now we talking. Hey, we got tourism is up next. We gotta finish this one. We gotta complete this one. Is voting impactful?
Yes.
I think voting is impactful. I can understand the lull that many people have. They feel as though their vote doesn't matter, or they feel as though they vote for these people and they get in and then they don't do anything. And so I can understand just being over, just the process, the same cycle every single time. But that doesn't mean you stop. And like you said, just because you vote them in doesn't mean we can't do anything after the fact if these people don't stand up to what they said that they were going to do. But I don't think people know that. I don't know how many people know that a senator can be removed, after being elected, voted in, or maybe they do, but they don't know the process or anything like that. Even the protests that happen outside of the state of the territory, I'm thinking you're looking across the US and even the world, and look how these people are coming together to protest what our government is doing, what's happening in overseas and all this kind of stuff. We can do the same thing here too. We might be small, but we can all come together, protest down freaking in Christianstead, down in town, on the waterfront in St. Thomas. I'm not as familiar with St. John, so I don't know. But wherever, it's like, why don't we do that same thing? I see the protest, but it's maybe 10 people, 12 people, 20 people. No, what about the thousands of people that voted, and you voted for these people who aren't doing what you said that you wanted them to do? We have the right to protest. We have the right to be heard and to speak out. But like Saida said, it's just a lot of fear mongering.
Awesome.
There are young people stepping up. Somebody mentioned like cane cutters.
Yes.
And somebody mentioned like, I don't know, we talked about them this time around, but like 340 comics, like
Yes.
that is the stuff that gives me joy. I'm like, ooh, let me go to work and make some more people like that, because like push the agenda on saying this is what we need as a territory. This is what we want. This is what we demand. And we pay your salary. Like our demands need to be met. We can make demands. I think there's some amazing young people, and also pushing the agenda to vote is going to be very important as we get deeper into it.
So we have to understand that we are the employer and they are the employee.
Facts.
And if they are not doing the job, we can remove them. So we have the additional duty to check to make sure that these individuals that we do support come before us from time to time, tell us what they're working on. They need communication skills because they have trained us. And I've noticed recently in the legislature, they're not letting us into the well to testify anymore. They're taking your testimony, reading it into the record, but not inviting you up to the well to have conversations, because they don't want conversations. They don't want, all they want to do is read what you have to say, and then you be quiet in the back. So we have to change that paradigm. They work for us. We don't work for them. And we have to demand accountability from them. Because we don't have districts. That's a whole nother problem too. We don't have districts, and nobody wants to say, oh, I'm not accountable to you, but you asked for my vote, didn't you? So no, so you are accountable to me.
Having districts is probably the worst thing, because I want to be able to know, who do I call for something happening in my immediate vicinity, right? And people knowing that they can call, that they can ask questions. I mean, we barely have like journalism, newspapers. Like, people need to know that they can write an op-ed, that they can, and not be so afraid.
I think districts and correct me, I'm not sure, but has the VI ever had districts, or it's always been the way no districts? No,
they had districts back in the day before you and I were born or even thought of.
What made the change? What was the thing that kind of took us away from
They changed the dynamics because we had an influx of people from the Western Caribbean, and they wanted to be inclusive. And I guess they came up with this idea that is not really working out. Like, for example, on St. John, we have a person that is called a senator at large, but we don't vote for that person. The person gets the votes from St. Thomas and St. Croix. St. Croix doesn't know what's happening on St. John, nor does St. Thomas most of the time. So They don't know who is really active. And when you say run a campaign, I have heard people, I've run for senator at large, and I've heard people tell me, well, I went to school with him, so I support him. So we have to do due diligence. We have to interview these people. We have to see if this job, if we're willing to give our hard-earned money, $85,000 to them, while you're making $20,000.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to chime in before we switch to my favorite topic, colonizers and tourism?
Oh boy.
I'm always good for a good colonizer.
I love a good colonizer. I love the Pilgrims. I love talking about the Pilgrims.
All right, let's go into the state of the tourism. So, Even though we harvest sun, sand, beach, wind, all these other natural resources, we seem hell-bent on focusing on making our biggest industry tourism. In my opinion, this is strictly of Same Differences opinion. I don't believe that we should be focusing on building your economy based on something so fickle that a storm in a place where you have an entire season just for hurricanes, where that could destroy the economy.
A storm, a Fountain Valley massacre.
Oh boy.
I mean, it is a fickle mistress.
Yes.
Right?
I don't believe that we need to be putting so many of our chips into tourism. And then, in my opinion, it turns locals into a slave class, a servant class. And you see, the locals are asking for more hotels, which pay minimum wage, and majority of the money goes off island. It doesn't stay and circulate. The owners of those hotels won't live there. Then you get paid minimum wage, you work so many hours, and then you gotta probably get another job or another hustle. What sense does that make? Let's get another hotel.
Well, even if we are gonna, say, okay, devil's advocate, or we are gonna prioritize tourism, we gotta do it right.
Hey. You know the thing about devil's advocate? The devils have advocates. They're called demons. But go ahead.
All I'm saying is, if we're gonna do it, if that's what it's gonna be, so there's two sides, right? It shouldn't be. I agree with you, Dra. It shouldn't be our main draw, our main support system. But if it is gonna be, it should be done right. It's not being done right. First of all, it's not equally it's not equal across the territory. We see the difference in investment in tourism in St. Thomas and St. John versus St. Croix. And then you go down island to all these other islands and you see how, no, tourism may not be their main driver, but look how they do tourism. You go to St. Martin, you go to Dominica, you go to St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Aruba, these different places, roads paved, all these different hotel options, all kinds of draws to bring people in. So the experience is what the experience is. So, I mean, if this is what we're going to do, are we even doing it to the best of our ability? When you go to Dominica for Carnival, it is complete. I mean, you are completely immersed in the culture of Dominica.
Yeah.
Completely immersed. There's nothing about Dominican festival that caters to anybody that is not of the culture or for the culture. You go there, you're going to be in the culture. Right. If you really look at our festival, specifically, especially St. Croix, and I would even say maybe St. John, I feel year after year, it's more and more watered down.
Look at Jamaicans.
Look at what happened this year. Our Juve was so short because they stuffed Juve and Food Fair in the same day with 2 cruise ships. So who had to suffer? We did, but it's supposed to be for us. Facts. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree 165%. Who coming in after that?
And is our tourism going to be like distilleries that don't even get licensed, and that are old plantations that don't even pay homage to the people that lived, worked, and died there, and that are owned by weird AF millionaires? Like, we're missing so many levels on the tourism front, as she mentioned. Like, if we're doing tourism, why aren't we teaching? People do want to do tourism and do like a historical understanding of a place, like something like what Frandel does, Crucian Heritage and Nature Tourism. Can we do that? Is tourism fall down, drink rum, and go to restaurants that are not owned by local people, that are not serving local cuisine, that many of the wait staff is not people of this shores? Like, I mean, yes, I've been a waiter. You can make money, but some of these spaces aren't even hiring our young people.
Yes.
That's it.
They're hiring people, their cousin that they brought down from Minnesota or Oklahoma or
because
wherever.
because we
Like,
haven't because we have failed our we have
Go ahead, go
because
ahead, go ahead.
because we have failed our people. For example, in the Bahamas, you have to hire locally. In Tortola, right next door, they have belonga status. There are certain mechanisms that are in place that, let's go back to this EDC thing. They're supposedly supposed to hire local staff, and they always use the excuse they can't find local staff. Hogwash. They hire their cousins, their aunts, their uncles. They bring them in, the 5 people they need. All they want is a tax benefit. We gave away $300 million to Epstein. You know what the Virgin Islands could do with $300 million? Well, we had billions and we messed it up, so I guess I can't talk about that. But it would have helped.
Yeah, I think the general consensus is that we're doing tourism wrong, and then it's wrong on so many different levels. Like, y'all are right, it's on so many different levels. Like, for one, it's 3 very different islands. You can't just market us all in one way. You know what I'm saying? Like St. Thomas, you go for a totally different place. They call it Little Hollywood and all of that stuff. Market that differently. Then you got St. Croix, the big island where we have all the space, and market our ecotourism. How about that? How about building back up Wim Great House and stuff like that then? You know the colonizers love a plantation. They'll have so many weddings out there. They love a plantation. Them man will fly from their home, pay tens of thousands of dollars to do a wedding on a plantation. Build back up the thing.
Yeah.
You have bioluminescent tours and stuff like that. Why aren't we have, I think, 2 welcome centers on St. Croix? Why aren't they why don't they combine the services, like the tourism services and the welcome centers that you have on East and the West Side? You get my
Do we have weddings at Auschwitz? Do we have weddings where people have been died and murdered? That's the thing that really gets me. What exactly are we doing as a people to ourselves? What are we selling? For St. John has a national park. We're talking about tourism. What is the federal government giving us in reference to that product? Because they're the largest landowner and they pay the least property taxes. And because I live abutting the national park, my taxes are ridiculous for a house that's not completely finished. Okay, so we have impacts on different islands. St. Croix, I want you all to brace that historical nomination that you all have gotten. It's going to change your lives. When you are in a historical district, there are certain rules and regulations. I hope they start to educate you guys as to what is actually going to take place with that. I see everybody tout and say, yeah, it's a good thing. I'm like, yeah, but think about that. Because I live on an island that is 70% national park. We don't have parking, or they're supposed to take care of certain roads. It's ridiculous. And the people who are in charge, they don't know certain things. You know how many years I have to tell police officers the North Shore Road is our road, belongs to the people of the Virgin Islands. They're like, oh no, the National Park Rangers have control over there. I'm like, no, they don't. Those are our roads. So we have to keep this educational component moving all the time. So it boils back down to our initial conversation of it's going to take the village to keep the educational process going. And we have to go back to storytelling. Because just today, Donald Trump had them remove signage in St. John. So I'm sure they removed signage in St. Croix as well at the national park. So we're being impacted. So we have to deal with that. Sorry.
No. Because so much is happening at once. It's like a blitzkrieg of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to keep up with. And I think that's part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, from the time this man stepped in office, he just started throwing shit at us. And like, that's part of the plan.
And I
Because
mean, it's interesting when when the Navy ships were here in Frederickstead because of Venezuela, like I was like, am I living a different reality from some people that I know? Because they were like, oh yay, it's great, it's a boon. People getting, shops are selling stuff. And I'm like, I really that removed from world history. Yeah, we need VI history, but we need world history. We need US history. We need all the histories. Because it was scary to watch these young, impressionable, mostly white, some men of color, but just walking around Frederickstead with these backpacks. And it was such a weird. I felt like I was in an episode of the Twilight Zone. Ras, like what is happening to my St. Croix?
Are you aware that they're refurbishing the refinery as we speak?
Well, our governor likes big oil. I'm like, is it not 2026? Are we still pushing big oil?
but I understand why they want it, because again, I think that's an economic issue.
No, it's killed people. It's killed people.
Listen,
It's
I
toxicity.
I agree with you. No, I agree with you. But I understand. Listen, people have literally told me, I don't care.
Me
I
too.
have suffered from the skin rash and everything because I was staying in Harvey by my grandmother when it was raining down ash from that place. I know what it is.
And my
But
students, they're like,
these
Miss
men do
Kaka,
not
I
care
sorry,
if they're
them
gonna
man
make
paying.
$40 an hour. They do not give a damn.
Yep.
Listen, man, fresh out of high school and high school dropouts were making $36 an hour.
Yeah.
They do not care.
I taught them, and I was like, hey, big man, you on that,
You know, if you want to run for office, say that you're gonna reopen the refinery. You gain
No.
it.
Oh yeah, immediately.
That's all you need.
All you gotta say. That's all you gotta say. But again, that goes back to the desperation. Like people are like,
That's a
you,
luxury.
you created a system where people are willing to risk their lives just to be able to afford to live. That's what we created. So yeah, I might end up with some kind of cancer or rash all over my body or breathing problems or shorten my lifespan by 10, 15 years. But I mean, if I can go here and make $40 an hour, so at least I can then afford to buy food. I can afford to pay my WAPA bill. So I'll do it. So,
But that ain't no different from the people in West Virginia suffering from black lung.
Mm-hmm.
They will see people dying and still go into them coal mines and be
Yeah.
like, I'm a third generation coal miner. This is what we do.
yeah. Third generation with the two generations already gone.
And this is another reason why it's clear that a lot of the Caribbean and the Virgin Islands, they're conservative. They do not care that this thing will pollute your beautiful paradise. They don't care that this will cause cancer. They don't care about none of that. Give me my money. I need my pesh.
Yes. I think somebody commented and said that just a bunch of Republicans dressed as Democrats.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's what it is.
I remember on the day of the election, I went to Mencho's to get a sandwich. And I walk into there, and on the day of the election, I see a Puerto Rican man with a Make America Great Again hat on. Now, here's the thing. It was a Make America Great Again hat, but really, it could have been either of the presidential candidates. You don't even get the right to vote, but you are so determined and dedicated that you would wear this piece of merchandise for a nominee that you did not even get to vote for, but you still got to pay your taxes to. You see what I'm saying? How like our priorities are so but I bet you're not gonna wear whoever. I ain't gonna name no specific names of local people that are running, but you're not gonna see them repping none of them. So I'm just like, where's the disconnect? It's like we're ass backwards, basically.
Hurt people.
Yeah, but just a point of clarity too. We don't pay taxes into the U.S. Treasury. You know, we have our own IRB, which is
Okay.
supposed to which is supposed, and that is one of the things that has not, that we have here that does not go to the states. And if we want to vote for president, we will have to relinquish that and start paying our taxes into the U.S. Treasury. You'll get your tax refund back, but that's what you'll have to do.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Overall, what would you say the overall state of the territory is, in your estimation?
Ooh.
Isn't that the same question you asked us when we began?
I'm about to say, what's Aida say? What's Aida say? Serious times.
Yes, serious time.
I gotta bring it back around. What we didn't touch on is education. And we have educators on, so we gotta talk about it. Saida, I think you have...
Where every day I'm 100% clear, crystal clear, that we are failing our young people in these schools. And this is my life's work I started in 1993, and it's uncanny how little our high schoolers know. I think this is on a national stage. I don't think this is only the Virgin Islands, but I always tell them a proverb, not to know is bad, not to want to know is worse. But it's like the literal dumbing down of America. And for better or worse, we are the U.S. Virgin Islands. We are a colony of America. And we are connected. And since we don't make a lot of our own decisions, like I remember a dear friend of mine who's a senator currently, I don't think she's going to hang out much longer, but someone I've known all my life, she was saying, I don't remember really experiencing racism here, growing up in the territory. And my mom said, who made your textbooks, right? Like, you were not figured highly. These people, if we don't do much more for our students, we're going to create that serf class, those second class citizens that are going to be taken over and controlled and eaten alive by our neo-colonialists.
That's exactly what they want. That's what, people can't create change or push movement or shift tides if they're not educated. And the hope is to dumb down the future generation, so that way they can be told and fed anything and they'll believe anything. I said it earlier, people can read, but they don't know how to comprehend. These kids they have no sense of comprehension. So they're reading something and they're just taking a headline and going with it, but they're not actually comprehending what's happening. And it's dangerous. It's actually, like Lorelai said, like at this point, this is life or death. Literally at this point is where we are.
I have come to see that there's a lot of people that they think that the system is not working, when in fact it's working as a part of someone's plan. Someone's in control of how the system is running currently. Someone or someone's. It's probably a small group of people with a lot of money. These things are not by accident, the way the system is set up.
It's a billionaire boys club.
And they're buying out our people for cheap. Our people are selling us down the river.
Yes.
And we know they like coming here from the Epstein days.
Everybody in the files is a...
Yeah, it's a big thing.
I'm not in the files.
None of us on this call.
Exactly.
We had the presence of mind to miss that.
Go ahead.
No, I'm seeing this. How can parents help teachers to improve their child's success rate at school?
Yes.
Honestly, I have an 8-year-old and a 16-year-old, and those two girls, they get on my nerves, and I'm their mother, as much as I love them dearly. but you gotta have your children spend some time reading. You gotta reason with them. You gotta put intelligent content in front of them, because the phone algorithms, once you start looking at big booty hoes, that's all that's coming to your phone is big booty hoes. And Same Difference knows something about that, right? Once you start looking at big booty hoes, that's what you're gonna get. You're not gonna get like Free Palestine. You're not gonna get like, the Epstein files releasing, you're not gonna get intelligent content. So we have to sort of help our young people understand, listen, try some diverse music, try some diverse programming, do some reading, get out in the yard, get a little garden going. Like all of those things help those of us in the classroom.
Get involved, go to PTA meetings, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, youth clubs.
My daughter goes to India and Sri Lanka this summer because of a great program she's in.
Wow.
I had to rush back from taking my younger daughter to a sculpting class where we have a world-class sculptor down here for a month doing classes at the museum. Like, you can't just let him sit down in front of these screens and feel like things good, And I even tell my students, high schoolers, I said, you gonna wait for 4 people a semester to make you bright? You ain't gonna never be bright. Right. You have to also take up, for the high schoolers, I'm like, y'all might need to take up a pattern of self-education too. Don't depend on people like me. We're tired. I'm especially tired because I've been doing this for 32 years. But and then a lot of my colleagues, God bless some of them, they don't have the information themselves. So it is incumbent upon VIDE to do more substantive professional development. My Drama 2 class is making a short documentary about fire burn, and they walked around the school interviewing staff, students. Some people had like fire burn all mixed up with emancipation. And these are people that I love and respect. But when I watched my students' footage, I had to say, hey, watch now, let me give you a little quick something to help you out, because you're here in front of kids, without the basic facts. And I'm a literature and theater person. My father is always getting on me about not knowing enough history, but I know the difference between fire burn and emancipation. So we have to push our children, but we have to gain the knowledge first ourselves. And it's out there. We're walking around with these $1,000 tools in our hand, but are we using them for our liberation?
Are there any pointers on how, as a parent, to get your child, to read, to be more into navigating other stuff?
You read. Why don't you read?
Read to them, you saying?
No, read to them when they're small, but hey, man, it's 7:30. This is the time everybody sits down for 30 minutes. You don't want to be here, that's your business. Sit down, read, have a book in your hand. You model. Children never do what you say. They do what they see.
Mm-hmm. And I think our kids need more exposure. The kids need to be, the kids don't know. We live on small islands, but they don't know where certain things are on the island in which they live. Mm-hmm. They don't interact with other kids. Some people don't go from Christiansted to Frederickstead. They're like, oh, that's too far. I ain't going there. Or I ain't been there in donkey years. Or or Coral Bay to Cruz Bay. I ain't going Coral Bay because that's too far. I'm like, it's a 10-minute ride. Oh, that's too far. Okay, so I think the kids need exposure. They even need inter-island exposure. We need to know who we are. We're family, but we act that we're distant. But we're all interconnected.
I think it's important too that we even get off island exposure. Like, I've met people here that have literally never left St. Croix, not even went to St. Thomas, St. John, never in their whole life, never left St. Croix. And on top of that, they ain't been from Frederickstead to Christiansted in 15, 20 years, which is so crazy to me. So then you end up in this bubble and you end up in this space where all you know is all you know. And even though, yes, we have our, like Saida said, we have these phones that give us access. I mean, getting exposure, seeing different cultures, different people, different ways of living, that also helps to create knowledge, and it opens up your mind to want to go learn more. That, like, I'm a researcher. I'll be on one topic and see something being talked about on that one topic and jump to that next thing to read about that as well too. That's how we become a well-rounded and intelligent and educated and informed people.
Ooh. Ooh. Love it. I love it. I love it. Love it, Tommy. So I have a question, because they call us St. Croix, right? They're gonna always have an excuse. So I agree with everything that you ladies stated. However, how do you combat the excuses like, oh, I work 2 jobs, I ain't got no time to be doing all of that you talking about. I ain't got enough money to take them. We ain't even get, in the Virgin Islands, we ain't even get it, the hydrofoil no more. You know how much it costs to go just from St. Croix to St. Thomas? Why it look like island hopping? What do you say to them?
I agree. I think it's absolutely ridiculous how expensive it is for me to take a 10-minute flight from St. Croix to St. Thomas. Absolutely ridiculous. However, that does not mean that you can't create certain learning opportunities within your home. Just recently in Oklahoma, they got 12 inches of snow. So school was out for a whole week. A few of my friends that have kids, I mean, they turned their whole house into a whole homeschool situation, doing all kinds of crafts and arts and all kind of stuff. And I know that still takes money as well. But even if it's, your kids are watching TV from sun up to sundown, maybe it's, let's watch National Geographic. Let's watch documentaries. Let's watch biography. How can we utilize what we have if we can't, because it is expensive to travel. It is expensive to go from here to there. But what can we do that's right here at the tip of our hands? I've learned so much from watching certain educational videos on YouTube, or like I said, I love National Geographic channel, like all of these different things that I can utilize that are right here in my home, that I don't have to leave in order to get that knowledge and that understanding.
You make a mean Johnny cake, teach your child to make a mean Johnny cake, like small things.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge here, and maybe a viable solution, a couple years ago, I also do a lot of research. And I found that the national park had several programs in reference to educating the youth. We have a new president now, so I don't know if it will still be, available. But I took a group of kids from St. John to Puerto Rico that they sponsored. And we got to stay in El Yunque. Wow. Not El Yunque, El Morro. We stayed in El Morro in a castle. And we went to El Yunque. And we went to the Black, what is the name of it? Louisa. We went to Louisa. And the kids had a ball. They would not eat the local food. I had to take them to Burger King. That was pissing me off. But no, because I have this thing. Whenever I travel, I don't want to eat anything that I could get at home.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going someplace, you need to taste the local flavor. But there are programs out there that corporations offer that we do not capitalize on. And I think someone who is who has grants or into grants or stuff like that, if someone can start doing that, it would be helpful. It's a lot of work because, like I said, it took me, I found it, I worked on it. It worked out for me because at the time, the regional director for the national park, he had come to St. John several times. I met with him. He was open to the program and he's like, I want you to take the kids to Biscayne. I said, no, I don't want to take my kids to Biscayne because Biscayne is a water park. And whatever children traveling with me, coming back with me. I have to be responsible for people's children. And we went to Puerto Rico instead. And I was amazed that some of those kids had never been on a plane. Some of those kids, they were in shock about the different people that they saw and met and had conversations with. I learned so much from them than what they learned. I could tell you that.
That's what I need. Marcus was asking how much are the flights. I just looked it up. It's like $228 or around anywhere to like $300, depending on the time. American get one for $1,000. So yeah,
From where? From where?
that's from St. Croix to St. Thomas.
What?
Yeah. That's a
$100 to go from St. Croix to St. Thomas. Who? Oh, on
the lowest one is Cape Air or JetBlue. Cape Air and JetBlue is $228.
I remember you used to be able to go round trip from St. Thomas to St. John for $150.
I still feel like that's expensive because,
and that's still expensive. I'm a little that wasn't that.
Like, I remember you could get from one place in St. Louis, in Missouri to another.
So let's talk about mass transit then. They're building a new ferry between St. Thomas and St. Croix. How much is that? No. They're building a Vitran, public transportation ferry barge, people and vehicles between St. Thomas and St. Croix. Okay. So the thing is, no one has actually discussed the cost. No one has discussed if this is going to be. We had a PSC meeting in the in St. John on Monday, and then another one on Tuesday. I went to the one in St. Thomas on Tuesday. And the question that I asked them is to define public transportation for me. Because if you constantly increase the rates between St. Thomas and St. John, it's going to be cost prohibitive for us to leave that island sooner or later. And it's not about family or friends. It's about public transportation and what it provides. For example, from Fajardo, Puerto Rico to Vieques is $2. To catch the ferry from St. Thomas to St. John, if you don't have if you're a senior, you pay $1.50 round trip. No, $3 round trip, $1.50 one way, or $7 for a resident. These costs impact St. Johnnians enormously because we have to come back to St. Thomas for everything. We don't have the necessary things to survive on St. John. So now we're also looking at, like I said, for a ferry being provided between St. Thomas and St. Croix. What are going to be the costs? It's public transportation. If you go to New York and you go to Staten Island, it's free. So we need to start having these tough conversations, because if the federal government is providing this vessel and saying they're trying to make our lives more adaptable and cost efficient to live here, then our people in the government, in public works, needs to make that mandate true.
Okay, agreed.
Nisi came on and said, yeah, getting across the water is great, but we can barely get from Frederickstead to Christiansted anymore easily. Like it's the level of transportation when I was a high schooler in the late 80s versus now. Like I would go to Sunny Isles from dead west on a taxi bus and be able to come home at 11 o'clock and get my curfew. Children can't do that nowadays.
That's true. That's true.
The taxi bus are having to deal mostly with tourism. There's not an adequate amount of Vitran. Like I would love to get on that ferry if it's not cost prohibitive and go over to St. Thomas, but we barely have decent ground transportation. So when you said the state of the territory and we started this conversation talking about rock bottom, we're there.
Yeah.
It's true, because back in the day when I was there, I was surprised when I came home and couldn't even catch a taxi bus. Are we going to talk about that? Because I remember back in the day, like you could catch a taxi bus as long as you're on that main road and go from east to hell. You could just ride it for $2 back and forth if you wanted to. And now, like I remember I went home and I was surprised I'm standing there for an hour and a half. What going on? Only to find out, John, what you doing? Why you got ride? Like they don't even do that no more, for real.
The taxi commission is so, I ain't gonna say what I want to say, but I've never been supportive of like a big business coming into a small place and taking over. And I'm not saying that an Uber or Lyft is the answer, but I am very in support of things like VI Hail and VI Uber, because I feel like it's creating opportunity for people to get to where they need to go. Now, the problem that most complaints I've heard about VI Hail recently is the cost. Well, the cost is high because the usage is low. The more people that use it, the lower the cost can be. So, that's why I tell anybody that I know is visiting or anything like that, I tell them about VI Hail. To be completely honest, I tell them, don't even worry with a taxi, because if it's past 7:00, you're not getting no taxi. If it's on a Saturday, it's a cruise ship, and you a local, you ain't getting on no taxi. They're gonna pass you straight. It's so, like this person just said, it's outdated. It's just an outdated system. They don't want to change.
So I brought up the issue with the taxi service. I guess I was just used to like that being a service provided for locals, and that changed. But now people are pushing back against that, saying, oh, they're private businesses and such, and they give rights to who they want. And I'm like, don't they have taxi stands and stuff that are paid for by taxpaying funds? They're private. They don't have to. Don't they have parking spaces down in town?
Yes.
Who paid for those? The commission? How you dipping in taxpayer funds, but you ain't got to pick up taxpayers to provide a service? How that work?
There's no enforcement. They don't have any enforcement officers. Okay, they have a taxi commission that basically is defunct. There's no staff in that office. You hear the drivers complaining all the time. Then do you have young people who want to become taxi drivers in the St. Thomas St. John district, and the classes are not being offered?
I don't even understand. So they keeping driving a taxi?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then in the St. Thomas St. John district, there's another problem. These dollar buses are not insured, and they're finding that because there's no enforcement, if one of the buses hits someone, they don't have any insurance, but they're transporting people.
And I'll just guess the insurance is probably sky high, the rates, huh?
But if you are transporting people, you have to have insurance. There's no and, ifs, or buts.
Ooh. I don't even, man. It might be rock bottom. What I saying? What I saying in the comments? Tell us in the comments. You think the USVI has hit rock bottom after this hour and almost 45 minutes conversation? Has the USVI hit rock bottom? Are we almost there? I assume that we were like maybe 2 to 4 years before we do, but like the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, damn, we ain't got nothing.
Nothing. And it's so unfortunate, and it's so disheartening. And it's, for somebody like me, I moved back here, for some specific reasons, some family things. And, I could have left again, but I'm choosing to stay here. I'm choosing to plant roots here and be here. But it's hard. This is not an easy place. This is not an easy place to live, specifically mentally. Mentally, really, it's not an easy place to live. The weather is beautiful. Our water is beautiful. Our food is amazing. But mentally, it can really weigh on you, this place.
But you're going to be the real change that we need to galvanize for 2026 victory.
Yes.
So whoever wins this election, they have a heavy task, and they're going to need us to make sure that we help direct them in the course of direction that is best for all of us. We cannot just throw it in their lap and walk away. We gotta be there to have transparency and accountability.
All right. Let's talk about this. Why are y'all so against, we ain't gonna say crucial, Virgin Islanders leaving and placing their tax dollars elsewhere where they feel better served? Every year we have a conversation about coming back home. We spoke about the brain drain earlier, but if the people that want to come home, like I said, it's hard, and there isn't any type of path to like try to make that transition a little bit easier at all. Like, even the governor got in front of a podium and a mic and literally was like, come back home. We need her to do this and this and this. Like, asking people to come back home to do what? That's not being done now. I don't understand it.
I love my Filipino co-workers, right? In the VID. Lovely individuals. But you will go tell the Philippines to bring teachers to the Virgin Islands. And I know teachers in various states, and they say stuff, Saida, I've been trying to come home for how long now? Like, have some incentives that are specifically around what kind of Virgin Islander do we want to create? What is the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of the Virgin Islands going to be if we don't change how we're educating our youth? You got all these little chop shop pro health and whatever the various little health agencies that people are having to use because of the fact that our hospital is and all that. They're packed with doctors and dentists and nurses who are not homegrown. We're not growing anything except discontent. That's all we're going to home grow is discontent. I mean, we're not. My ex is a dentist and he's from St. Thomas and he was living in St. Croix. He was like, Saida, I can't find no young people that I could mentor. He said, I will help them pay for dental school or hygienist school. I will do a scholarship. I can't find children that even want to do this. And it's scary if we don't make our home better. But I mean, as much as I said rock bottom, I still gotta come back to the joy. We gotta love up on each other more. We gotta greet each other. We gotta see how one another are doing. We gotta have conversations like what you promote on this site as well. It's so imperative. It's the only way we're gonna be able to solution build and tease out what we need to tease out.
I think it's hard to have these conversations more so now because it seems like everybody is angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when you say something and you mean it I've gone back and forth and I tell myself I wasn't doing it no more in 2026. I was just gonna say okay and keep it pushing. Where it's like you want to be angry, man. You want to misunderstand what I'm saying. I've literally, can you tell me which part of my statement upset you? Let me explain it. And have explained each sentence and they still was mad.
I think people are just right now, it's just people are very sensitive while also being desensitized at the same time. And because there's so much uncertainty about what is to come and what's going to happen, that breeds fear. And with fear comes anger, comes doubt, comes misunderstanding, comes confusion. And so I don't think it's intentional. It's just, again, the system and the circumstances are creating what it is that what we're feeling, what we're receiving. It's that. And so until we can begin to see solutions or see things shift and change, it's very heated right now and elevated for everyone.
I think it was said by Said, hurt people.
Yep.
And we're in an abusive relationship that we need to get out of.
Yeah.
And unlike the people on this call, Ja, we have agency. However we were raised, whatever we've experienced, we feel like we can create substantive change. And we don't have the fear around opening our mouth. Whatever come what may, we're going to express ourselves in our friend groups, with our family, even in a larger platform. A lot of people don't feel like they have that personal power. A lot of people fraidy bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. It's been a wonderful conversation, man. As much as I don't want to close out, Hey, I said 30 minutes. It's been almost
I
2
know.
hours.
It's been almost 2
You see what
hours.
I'm saying? Yo, all right.
But it's been
So,
good.
we appreciate the conversation. It was really dope. The clip's gonna come out shortly. I usually get on it, and you'll see the first one probably tomorrow. Can we just get a round table set of the final words from the panel? Whoever want to go first, you could get your final words out. What do you want to tell the audience, the listeners out there today?
Thank you, Ja, for giving me a voice tonight to talk to people about the change that we really need to work together as a family and become the village that we used to be and keep our Nancy stories going so that we can keep hope alive in this territory. Thank you.
Who's next? Who's next?
I would say the same thing, John. Thank you for the, just the platform to be able to have this discussion and dialogue, with other people. And I just would tell people, to use your voice and speak up, and research so you can make an informed decision.
Just say it with your work, right? If you love the VI, say it with your work. It could be your individual work. It could be the work within your friend group and your family. It could be your work on your employment, your day-to-day hustle. But the way we're going to change and make this Virgin Islands one that we can all feel positive and proud of is people just got to say it with their work.
All right. Nice. Thank you all, ladies. We appreciate you. And this is what we do here. Like, we haven't used the slogan, but when we first started, we called ourselves the People's Podcast, and we always will be, because it ain't about getting people with huge followings and pushing for clout and all of that stuff. No, we want real people on the ground who experience these things to have real conversations. So maybe we can have other people talking about the things that they're afraid to. So we appreciate you all for coming and being open and honest. All of you, because y'all didn't hold no punches, because I hate when they come on and they got to write down questions. We need more people like you three that are willing to talk and have the real conversations. We appreciate you. Everybody in the chat, thank you tonight. Go ahead and tell them about Same Difference. Go ahead and share this live. Share the clips that you see. Like, share, and subscribe. Follow us, Same Difference. Right? Same Difference. Simple as that on Facebook. And then...
And they got big booty hoes.
Don't do that to me. You know very much. Or you can follow us on TikTok at same_difference_pod. YouTube at VI_very_own. If you want to donate, we have a PayPal. Let us know. Sunday. We have a new episode of A Different Day with John Nisi. It should be a short one because it's Super Bowl Sunday. You tap in with us there, 101.3 Raw FM. You know, the #1 station in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Thank you once again, people. Hey, I'll go ahead and, like Saida said, don't be scared to open your mouth. And don't be scared to open your mouth for something other than stupidness. Talk to your people. The Blitzkrieg bullshit shots coming out soon. I look out for that. All right, we out, man. Love you guys. Peace.